pandemics as well.
Yeah.
Pandemics.
I've watched that explain thing. I've got.
Have you got some solid research? Because I'm not looking into this at all.
No,
I'm hoping to learn something because I don't know shit about
I haven't got any solid research, but there's been
I know what's
another viral outbreak in China, which is most likely down to food contamination.
Eat bats and snakes.
Save it. We should start all of our podcasts like that.
What are you listening to?
You can.
No, I've never smoked marijuana.
Perfect.
As opposed to like just watching all the memes that come out from Ricky Gervais' speech afterwards.
Exactly.
I just watched Ricky Gervais' speech. That was it.
All Owen views.
All Owen
Lots of Jeffrey Epstein jokes.
There'll be loads. I might even come out.
More than fucking one.
you
Like,
see
Ricky
how-
Gervais is so controversial.
See
Did
how
one
pissed off
joke.
fucking Tom Hanks was with the jokes.
Yeah, because he knows.
He doesn't enjoy anyone being mean about anyone.
No.
He's just there like, oh, well, that's a bit.
Yeah.
It's a bit much. Yeah.
Hashtag Owen 2021 Golden Globes.
Yeah,
that'd be perfect.
Well, this podcast will obviously kick off, and they'll be like, "Yeah, this is our man."
It might already have
It's a
kicked
full
off.
like 11 months.
Yeah.
I'm the only. It just came to me the other day. I'm the only person with access to our views and our sponsors.
Yeah, you haven't told us for ages.
No. Oh, the views, listens. And we've got sponsored segments as well. So if anyone's making any money from it and we blow up, then I'm just going to make all the money from it.
I was like that, is it?
Yeah, it's like that.
Oh.
Yeah, that house needs to get done, bro.
But the thing is, if you like hold us up for the money, I can just stop editing the podcast.
Oh.
And I've seen you try and edit, and I don't think there's any amount of money that will make you want to do it.
Listen, when there's a will, there's a fucking way.
I was going to start with Steve, but Owen, how are you?
I'm good, mate. How are you?
How's your Daily Mail new career going?
Yeah. Back on for the fourth time.
Back on.
Fourth
Back
time?
on. We
Amazing.
won't disclose what the name is.
I'm just glad, they're just too fucking stupid to track my IP address.
Maybe that's how they got you the first time. We mentioned what your name was, and they got you.
Maybe.
I do
It's
have Daily
now
Mail
Owen
reviews.
4.
I mean, I have had my name in every single email address I've signed up to, and my last name as well. so I mean, it wouldn't take a genius to think, wait a minute, how many Owen Dax on there? And
Master of
from
disguise.
from Nottingham, and puts on that he's from Nottingham. I've actually changed it to East Midlands now. Broader. Can't track me down.
How will they ever get you now?
Got a VPN thingy going at work. They never get me. I was like, between Daily Mail and Silk Road, it's a busy day.
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes you do some work.
It is my work.
Okay.
It pays.
They're lucky you're there.
Yeah, literally. Yeah.
And Steve as well, back with us. Happy birthday, by the way.
Yeah.
Thank you. It was yesterday, but I'll take it. Appreciate
Well, I mean, when is this episode going to be released?
These
It was
listeners
around this time.
it was around.
Not so important. You don't want to give away too many information.
What'd you do?
Well, Joe came and collected me at like 9 in the morning. And
Yeah.
I was like, I've got some work for you to do.
Oh.
Drove me out to fucking Giltbrook, and we spent the morning breaking up road rock. That's what it is.
There was an action there.
Road
in
rock.
case
Graveling it out, raking it out, making sure it's all level.
Was it just a favour to the council or something?
Just some type of penance you do every year rather than get presents.
Basically, it was outside the gaff. I was like, why don't the council do this? He went, because the council won't fucking do it. So yeah, it was a favour to the council.
There you go.
So that's how I spent my birthday morning.
You used to get a
It's a
reduction
very
in council tax. You said.
humble birthday.
Yeah.
It is. Giving to whoever's driveway that
I like
is.
to
Man
give
of the
back to
people.
the community.
Yeah.
That's what I do.
What a better way. I'm proud of you.
Current construction in business. If you want your fucking drive tarmac in, give me a shout.
Welcome back to another episode of Nothing Specific, the show you know and love.
Definitely.
Yeah, exactly. I like to think of this as the podcast equivalent of overhearing a conversation in a pub. Nothing specific, but quite interesting.
Depends what pub you're in.
Yeah, very much. Why would you say we're Situate? Like,
Definitely Wetherspoons, yeah.
I feel like Wetherspoons or like the kind of bar that attracts both like lads and like indie darlings.
Indie darling.
Bit like a jam cafe.
Bodega, maybe?
Bodega as well. Yeah. Allow conversation in the smoking area of Bodega. That's kind of
That's us most weekends.
Perfect. We just hit it. That's it.
I'm back again as your host. We've got the same lineup as always. So we got a few topics today. I was going to talk a bit about the impending impeachment of Donald Trump, and then also about the Democratic primaries and sort of what's happened over the last week. Steve, you want to talk about pandemic, or is it an epidemic in China?
It's a pandemic. Yeah, there's like pretty similar to the SARS outbreak back in like early 90s.
From what I'm
okay,
reading from
okay.
it basically is SARS.
Yeah, it sounds
It's
like
the same.
Similar.
It causes pneumonia, I think, doesn't it? It gets on your lungs eventually, or it's
Yeah,
like a,
it causes wheezing, coughing, that kind of thing, and it's airborne.
Coronavore or something. Coronavirus. There's
From what I've gathered though, they've got a lot more on it because they're checking people before they go on planes and whatnot. The reason SARS was so widespread back in the day
Took them ages.
it took them ages to realise it
and
was an actual problem.
I think you could be carrying it a while before you got the symptoms,
Well,
and then you're infectious.
during the
as well,
SARS
which is
outbreak,
dangerous.
there was only 8,000 cases, but there was 800 deaths.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is like what 1%, isn't it? So
It's 10%.
10%. 10%. That shit. That's a high fucking.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's scary.
8,000, yeah.
And the thing is they didn't start dying until about 6 weeks into SARS.
Right.
10% of the people infected died. That is alarmingly high.
Exactly. So if this one gets global, starts an outbreak.
Well, this is at about 1 or 2% now. I think it's about. I don't know. I think there's been 14 deaths, but there's been quite a lot of. Jacob, do some research.
What's the virus called?
They don't know. They haven't got a name for it, but it's basically new SARS. That's what I'm calling it.
SARS
SARS the Revenge. I didn't quite finish him off last time. But I think SARS.
Return of the SARS.
There's a rumour that SARS came from
It
bats.
is called coronavirus.
Coronavirus. That's what. So I thought that was the type of virus that it was.
I think that is the type of virus.
That's like the actual name of that kind of virus, isn't it?
Well, the other thing I want to
it.
know is what's the difference between a pandemic and an epidemic, but I'll look that up as well.
Pandemic is something that becomes widespread across multiple ranges of people and it manages to enter different populations as well.
Okay.
Yeah, which that one did because.
And what's an epidemic?
Is that locally?
Epidemic, that's local.
Well, the thing is,
Isn't an epidemic more?
I thought so. Epidemic, the thing is, you'd never get anything that constrains being local now with this day and age, with like flights and stuff like that.
Exactly.
It's impossible to
That's one
restrain
of the
it, isn't
reasons
it?
SARS got passed around so quickly because they weren't checking people.
There's a
before they
place,
got on
isn't there?
planes.
Place in China where it originated.
Yeah.
10,000 people have
It's
been.
because they had a meat shortage and they started eating lots of bats.
This is what I'm saying.
That's mad.
Bats is
Yeah.
crazy. You know that SARS apparently said a minute ago came from bats, and it's when a bat has a virus like flu, and a human has a virus.
Who's eating bats?
Chinese.
They're fucking vermin.
On that explain.
Don't eat vermin. That is like
Well, until recently.
food 101.
Bats
Don't
are
eat
the most,
vermin
mate.
and dirt.
They're known for disease. Bats.
Until recently in China, though, people couldn't afford like your pork, your chicken, etc. So
They can afford a dog.
Yeah, but they
Don't eat bats.
But
You're
they
saying
catch
deep
bats.
dogs. Yeah.
They can catch bats.
Yeah.
Fam, you don't miss Africa. They eat bats all the time.
All right, yeah. Well, that's more to do with living in
It
inhospitable
kind of makes a bit of.
Well, so the Chinese in places.
Can make a bit
Yeah,
of.
because there's too many of them. They've
Yeah.
had to fill out into. Anyway,
from what I gathered
goes to
from that
overpopulation and how I think it's a bad thing.
it was when two people that are infected get the disease. So it's winter time in China. It's pretty cold there. So the guy that may have started it off may have had.
I got some
flu.
figures for you
Go
on the coronavirus. Began in mid-December. It is a respiratory illness, so it's at least the same part of the body as SARS. It's killed 9 people. Hundreds have been taken sick.
It's gone up to 14, by the way. The kill apparently.
Spread to 5 other countries, I think, is the alarming thing.
Really?
So there are.
What countries?
Southeast Asia, I think mostly. Thailand, Vietnam, places like that. From what I saw. But apparently they got one in the States though.
One.
Apparently.
Oh, they always
One
fucking do. Yeah, there's a
That's why-
hospitalised
that's why
outside of
it's fucking news then.
Seattle, so it's on the west coast.
Yeah, so probably quarantine the fuck out of that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It depends how. Because SARS, apparently there's like, if you had a shit and the fumes from the diarrhea used to go up the fingers and
Yeah.
get... So like, how the fuck do you protect against that? And it even went to the next building, didn't it?
Yeah, it was fucking crazy.
So like,
there was like one person in one building that managed to infect all the floors.
Had a shit and fucked everyone.
Yeah.
It's probably not pandemic bad.
Not yet.
Is what people are saying. In
These
the
things
States.
always do get
This
hyped
is
up
a guy
though,
from
don't they?
Minnesota.
I think what he's trying to say is not pandemic bad yet because it's not reached the level that SARS has. Because SARS went relatively unknown just because it was coughing, wheezing, that kind of thing. So people just thought it was the common cold, and then got spread around, and then eventually they worked out shit. People are actually shitting themselves to death in this situation.
Okay, yeah. So basically, you're spot on. Basically, the problem is right now contained to small cases in a lot of different places that you can just isolate. But if there's a flu outbreak in that area, which can happen in January, then all of a sudden you have a pandemic because that will spread it like it's the flu.
Yeah. So I think it's one of these ones where it is, the cross viruses and because they don't know.
Well, pandemic is essentially the most likely way that the world as we know it's going to end.
Oh, and that is what happened with SARS.
Yeah.
Influenza spread the disease.
Yeah. So because it's a virus that attaches on to influenza, and then together they combine, mutate, and then form a virus that obviously we haven't got a vaccine for because we haven't seen it.
Yeah, you couldn't create a vaccine for this because it's a mutating virus.
That's what I mean.
Well, it's like curing the cold
because they have
you
like
can't cure the cold because
in flu they change every time
already
it mutates,
10
it gets different.
more variants that will ever It's
But,
too non-specific.
you know,
I can't remember. We're not scientists.
Normal
guys.
flu kills millions of
Just to
people.
clarify, we are not scientifically
We're not
aware of how this is going on.
Yeah,
but
so
my guess
might
is
be right.
neither are you. So we're not really aiming for accuracy. We're aiming for
just normal flu kills a lot of
general
Yeah, it used to kill
correctness.
bear, man. Didn't it?
It still
Before
does now. It still kills old people. So you know, remember my
that's
fucking swine
the
flu.
circle
behind
of
it?
life as well. by the way.
People like I remember the Sun had a fucking story at the start where it's like, and it was swine flu, and like I know a few people that got it. Are fine.
Yeah.
All right. I think it's
My
for
sister
people that are
claimed
quite
she had
vulnerable.
swine
you know.
flu. I remember there being like you could get a mild case of it.
was
Like,
I think if you were susceptible, your immune system was weak,
Yeah.
then it would fuck you over.
There was
But
bird
if you
flu
were
as well,
generally
wasn't there?
fairly healthy, you could fight it off. Bird flu. killed a
bird
lot
flu
of
was when
people.
we were quite young as
That
well.
kills. I
wasn't
saw
it?
today that killed like 500,000 people.
I know. Fucking Bernard Matthews.
500,000.
Yeah.
Bernard Matthews
Over.
had a
Where?
real rough
Over.
year, man. Yeah.
You've got
yeah,
at
that's
the
true,
fingertips.
that's
So
true.
you
You've got the
Jacob.
technology.
Do I look like a Packard Bell? Don't answer that.
All right, let's 10 worst pandemics in history. Here we go.
Spanish flu. Loved it.
Wish you were there. It was great. Hashtag Owen for Golden Globes 2021.
If this breaks out, I'm going. Quarantine suit, obviously, but you know, I'm going.
All right, this is already intense. Okay, so are these in order? No, this is not in order. Why
Come
would
on,
why
I mean,
would
what's
they,
that
why would
like?
they put them in order?
Why would I have to figure them out?
Fucking all right. I think all right. I'm gonna blow through them. Flu pandemic 1968, 1 million.
Okay.
Asian flu 1956 to 58, 2 million.
It's these flus, isn't it?
Flu pandemic 1918,
Let me guess, the next one's a
20 to 50 million. This is the most. Between 1918 and 1920, a disturbingly deadly outbreak of influenza tore across the globe. Nice and specific. Up to 25 million deaths in the first 25 weeks alone. 1910 to 1911, cholera outbreak, the 6th cholera pandemic. This is in the Middle East, North Africa, Eastern Europe, and Russia. That's only 800,000, but it's quite recent. 1889, 1890, flu again, 1 million.
Knew it.
1852, 1860, it's the 3rd cholera pandemic. Remember the last one? It was great. This was in the Ganges, so in India and stuff. Sorry, I misspoke. This is the number one. The Black Death, 1346, 1353, 75 to 200 million.
Wow.
This is the bubonic plague,
Fuck me.
not the other plague.
Okay, yeah,
Don't ask me what the difference is. Plague of Justinian, 25 million people, 541 to 542. It's a while ago. The Antonin plague, that's going to be my guess. 165 AD, 5 million people. Cause
What was that?
unknown.
Where was that?
No one.
Also known as the Plague of Galen, the Antonine Plague was an ancient pandemic that affected Asia Minor, Egypt, Greece, Italy. Asia Minor is
And this is
Turkey
before Christ.
and a bit of Iran.
AD.
No, it's after they invented a bloke called Christ. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Well, tell you what I did see today. Australian bush.
oh no, it's not BC.
About
This is
160
AD.
years
This is
later.
AD.
AD is what I mean,
Yeah,
exactly.
AD. Yeah, of course.
After douche.
I just think accidental damage now. That's all I've got in my head.
Accidental damage.
Accidental.
It's
Mate,
about as
to be
relevant.
honest with you, it was accidental.
Accidental plague.
What do you think's gonna happen? Guesses. Do you think
It's
it's
gonna
gonna turn into nothing or turn into
Like
something?
bird
yeah,
flu
sure.
and swine flu, it'll frazzle out.
Yeah.
Frazzle out, swine
Frazzle
flu.
out.
I like it.
Frazzle
The
out.
Chinese.
Frazzle out.
Frazzle. By the time it's likely to get me in about 6 months, there'll be some cure.
The Chinese have
Very
come
good.
on since
Or
that
that-
SARS outbreak as well, so I reckon they've got the containment centres ready to deal with this kind of issue.
They are currently having 2 revolutions within their borders.
I sent a video earlier by a friend, and essentially they're checking everyone on a plane. So they're going onto planes before people leave, like the places where they've got infections, and they're making sure that they're not carrying the virus.
If you sneeze, like they just grab you.
and you're dead.
That's it. No, I've got dust allergy.
They're checking Weibo constantly
they
to see if
could-
anyone's
so
They
If
do,
sneezes on
they do a
flight,
lot
they
of checks
Kick
anyway.
you out
though.
the door midair.
This is non-democratic China.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I signed up to Weibo.
It's not like they're like usually easy going
And
at the airport.
the Chinese hid SARS for ages.
They did. Yeah, they didn't let them know, and that's probably why it spread so
Yeah.
quickly.
So this time they obviously learned. Say,
the
look, we
law-
can't
because
have
the-
this.
because
they
the
don't
law-
like being criticised.
I mean, let's be honest. This probably got started in June. And they're just like, they're like, to be fair,
They're
like
probably
10,000
mountains of bodies, and they
10,000 people have been infected since December.
At least 100,000.
No, well, this is what they're saying now.
Yeah, that's what they're saying now.
10,000
Yeah.
people since December. That's a lot, innit?
All right, so far, Chinese health authorities have followed 1,070 people who've come into contact with infected
them in
patients. They're following everyone, aren't they? I mean, they're already following everyone. They've cleared 739 of them, and are still monitoring. Yeah, they're monitoring everyone. 331.
They do that anyway. They can listen to you sneezing through your phone. They'll boot your door down.
You'd be shocked to learn that they have not shared the information about the rest of the world.
Always so forthcoming, the Chinese, I find.
That's my favourite thing about them.
Yeah.
They're always just there with the information.
What are you going to do with this Huawei stuff? You're gonna spy on us? Oh, no. I can spy on me, I don't care.
Yeah. I like them. You remember when they built those islands off Taiwan? It was just like they got loads of sand and started dumping them in the middle of the ocean and then just built air bases there. Yeah. So where the fuck are these islands coming from? Don't know.
Volcanoes, mate.
Yeah, it's a pretty fucking mad area, mate.
Yeah. Anything happens around here.
Yeah.
How does Donald Trump say China?
Yeah. China. It's like the end of the word for China.
He is good as Donald, isn't he?
Yeah. Well,
I love him. I love him. I got a great clip. In fact, let's do this bit now. It dawned on me yesterday. I'm going to talk about impeachment in a bit, but it dawned on me yesterday, speaking to people and just not realising that people don't know what the fuck impeachment is about.
If I'm honest, I'm still struggling with it.
So I was going to do a whole bit explaining what it is, and then I came across a clip of Donald Trump from yesterday.
He explains it, but I don't know anyway.
He did one of his classic rallies where he sounds like he's just taking cocaine mixed with Adderall mixed with like Bovril,
good
so
mix.
He can't speak as well.
Good mix, that.
And it's amazing. But he probably explains it as well as can be explained. There's two clips it can be. I'm not sure which one yet. Yeah, it's this one.
Here's the story. Did nothing wrong. It was a perfect conversation. It was totally appropriate. The best lawyers in the world have looked at it. The Department of Justice has looked at it, given it a sign-off. There was nothing wrong. They never thought I was going to release the conversation. They probably didn't think we had transcribers or we had it transcribed or taped, but they never thought we were going to release it. When we released that conversation, all hell broke out with the Democrats because they say, wait a minute, this is much different than Shifty Schiff told us. So, we're doing very well. Pause. You got to watch it.
We're doing
This
very
is a
well.
little nitpicky, but the timeline you should know was that the transcript was released, and then Schiff held the hearings and characterized it. Just so you know. Told us. So we're doing very well. I got to watch enough. I thought our team did a very good job, but honestly, we have all the material. They don't have the material.
I asked you because you're attending.
There you go.
Amazing.
Donald
We
Trump.
had the best conversation.
Oh man, I love it so much.
Is that a conversation where it's kind of like, oh yeah, it would be a favour to us if you looked at this?
Do us a favour, yeah.
Do us a favour, yeah. It's a great conversation because
It is,
it's
it's
proper
perfect.
like it's proper gangster. It's really gangster.
It sounds like a clip from The Irishman.
Yeah.
Has someone cut that together yet? I want to find that.
Not yet. No, it's not more. It's more like the John Gotti story, if anything, because they had a wild
With Travolta.
Yeah, definitely.
Have you watched that?
Yeah.
To be fair, I saw the outside, the actual picture for the film or the front cover for the film or whatever,
It looks
and
ridiculous.
I just didn't want to watch
It looks like a meme. With a lot of like, because of China's like reluctance to share any data, with a lot of these pandemics and breakouts that happen in that region.
With the World Health Organization, is it?
World Health Organization and also journalists that cover that specific thing for like global publications.
Okay.
And they say that they basically use the data and make kind of guesswork just based on historical stuff. So you divide the number of deaths by the number of people that have died or survived. It can be tempting to include hospitalized individuals, but because their outcomes are unknown, they can provide a false sense of security. In mainland China, 9 out of 471 infected people have died. But if you expand that include those that were hospitalised, you're approaching 20%, which is double SARS, right? They are basically saying the other thing that they maybe didn't know before that is being rumoured now is that there's a presence of what's called a super spreader. And this sounds like I'm immediately like causing this is a fear article. It's even weirder. Super spreader is a person who just naturally
it's just very
infects people better.
right.
Okay.
So there's like a few of these infectors around.
And that might be
Charlie
the case.
Sheen, he's one of them.
Yeah, I'm just picturing a guy just like dribbling like phlegm from every orifice.
Charlie
like,
Sheen,
It was him. He started this with his tiger blood.
Shooting you
Tiger blood.
That's it.
Right, tiger blood.
We're on
Why
to
does
the
that make? Oh, there's somebody at the door.
Is there?
Yeah. All right.
There's not, is there?
I think so. Oh, the phone.
We don't answer doors at this time.
No, leave it running. We'll see what happens.
All right. Okay. Yeah. Fair enough.
Let's see who is at the door, Mr. Tumble.
Oh, fucking hell.
Hey, buddy. Hello, mate. How you doing? I come in? Yeah, of course you can. We're recording the podcast. Oh, shit. I don't mean to get in the way. Eddie, you're not in the way.
Get in, mate.
Just have to be
Have a seat.
there for the podcast right
Let's
now.
go, bro. You alright?
I'm alright. I'm so fucking poor. And just to give it a right kick in the nuts, Amazon Prime just took 50 quid out of my account.
Oh,
Bastard.
mate.
Why? What did they do?
What did you buy?
Signed up 6 months
No!
ago.
Yeah, that's how they fucking that as well.
6 months after they take it out like that?
Yeah.
That's
Literally
bullshit.
just gone.
me
Right?
for 3 months.
Like literally on my way to work, I was like, oh, I'm good. I'll be alright. I'll be alright till we get the next bit of money. And then it's like, check my account. Oh, what the fuck? What the fuck? But it's chill.
If there's any solace behind it, I read that Jeff Bezos' phone got hacked by the
Yeah.
Chinese earlier.
Yes.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe you'll get it back. But
In yen. You'll get it back, but in yen.
That's right, my phone.
that's Japanese currency you prove.
And also, don't be touching that yen at the moment. Maybe put it in a Ziploc bag.
Right. I'm pretty sure
Leave
the
it-
Chinese
leave it
use yen
alone.
as well.
They don't use
Like
yen.
the Chinese yen.
No, it's not. It's not Chinese yen. So what is Chinese?
We're not
currency
going to
called?
get that.
Go, we're doing
Oh,
that,
Japanese
guys.
currency.
I'm bringing it in, go.
Yuan or yuan.
I thought it was RMB.
RMB. Oh yeah, RMB is the abbreviation for renminbi, which is the official name, but it's more commonly referred to as yuan.
First.
Yuan.
Like R. Kelly, R&B. Yeah. You know if he did banknotes, he'd do no denominations above 10.
Good enough.
Yeah, it'll do.
It'll do.
Third time
It'll
charm.
do.
Cut that out, no one needs to know that.
Hey Eddie,
Hello.
how's things? Are you enjoying this semi-scripted conversation we're having right now?
Well, I haven't seen the script.
It's all in here, man.
I'm not.
That joke will be
following
cut,
the
but it was a
script.
good joke.
Well, I mean, you can cut what you like, my friend.
I will.
Yeah. No,
Welcome back to the podcast.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
It's been a while. How long's it been? 3 weeks?
Technically mid-December.
Yeah.
So
Was
it's
that when the
been,
election was? It
Yeah,
was
9th
like
of
15th,
December.
9th or
Yeah.
9th, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Dark
Fuck
time.
me.
and we broadcast those episodes of that day, so it is since that date.
Yeah, I was so convinced that I was going to be right, and then I was so wrong.
What was your prediction going in?
My prediction going in was that there'd be a hung parliament and that Corbyn would then have to form a coalition. And that was, to be honest, that was kind of my dreamy prediction. I didn't realistically, I kind of always knew that Boris Johnson was going to. I didn't think he'd win in the style and or with the domination.
He did win with style.
I didn't
He hid
think
in the fridge. I mean, that's the mark of a champion.
I didn't
find.
think that he would destroy the entire Red Wall in the north. I didn't think that Labour would do as well as they did in London.
I honestly thought Labour would do better in the south, and the Tories would do better in the north than they did. There wasn't as much of a shift as I expected, but broadly,
Labour did as badly as they did because they won't commit on Brexit. And it's as simple as that.
while we're
that's
talking
the
about
thing.
that election,
As much as I
I've
agree,
got a quick shout out.
Go on.
One of my only good stories, apart from the fact that we might. What were you pointing at?
Weed.
Get your weed. One second.
Thanks, gorgeous. Oh, Ashtray as well.
leaving that in.
Ashtray as well. Don't sit down. Ashtray.
How do you feel about the election now, bud? Oh, sorry, we haven't introduced you yet. Have we introduced you?
I can't remember it.
We have. We've got something I can use. How do you feel since the election?
I mean, as I said
We didn't.
as I've already said to
We
many
didn't.
people today,
Good.
my life has not fucking changed one little bit since the general election happened, as it always does with general elections.
you
Apart
feel
from
a
it's
bit-
still shit,
Do you
but it
feel a
was
bit
shit
silly for
before.
campaigning now? Or?
No, not at all. I don't
You didn't
get it.
do that much in the long run. You did a bit towards the end in the most important periods, but it's not like you spent like weeks and weeks on it.
Well, not weeks and weeks. Yeah, fair. That's probably a fair analogy. I went like 5 times in total, so not
Like I feel bad for who had the same
I
amount.
feel
of,
like yeah,
with the
I
same
feel
amount
like
of energy as you going in, but she spent like 3 extra
as
weeks
long as
doing
we're
their
cutting her
shit.
name, she's got all the gear, no idea, man. She don't know what she's talking about.
I love that.
I've
Got
spoken-
all the gear and no idea.
I've spoken-
Oh, that's killer.
I've spoken to her a couple of times about politics, and she's supposed to be a master's political
she's-
communication.
she's-
She knows less than my dog.
What I'd describe as dim.
You got a dog?
Yeah, I do.
Oh,
Chocolate
nice.
Labrador.
Yeah.
I got a little like silver lining story for the election since we brought it up. Big shout out to Nadia Whittam. Nadia Whittam.
Didn't even research the name.
I didn't research how to pronounce it, and then I
You
saw
know,
an R as an
she's who I
N.
voted for. She's a Nottingham East constituent.
Nottingham
MP.
East, 23,
23.
Didn't
and
she
she
represent
she's the young.
Spencer in that?
youngest
She's the
MP of all
youngest
time.
MP of all time.
Do you know who's the previous youngest MP of all time?
Matt
Still a member of
the
Parliament.
SNP
Yeah, Marion Black.
lady.
She's
Marion
6
Black's
months.
Land, Black.
Marion Black.
That's it.
Didn't even research the name.
Yeah, I
Sorry,
mean,
got him, boys.
yeah, no, but
I'm leaving all that in now.
but yeah, no, she's really cool, and she's just.
Those are probably my 2 favourite members of Parliament. Yeah.
She's just taken on Boris Johnson and Prime Minister's questions, talking about how poverty in today's 21st century Britain isn't actually what you think of when you think of poverty. It's working poverty, so it's people who work 40 hours a week and can't afford the basic.
Bernie Sanders is running for president of the United States on exactly that point.
I know.
That's why I bring her up. She's donating more than half of her, just under half her salary.
See, that I don't agree with, because I think she's earned the salary.
If you let me finish,
Sorry.
I would agree with you on that. So she's donating 35,000 to basically local causes that support underfunded public services. And the point that she's made, this is a quote from her, not about philanthropy, and it's not that MPs don't deserve that salary. It's a fact our teaching assistants, nurses and firefighters do as well. So you both know that I support paying MPs more, not less, because I think you want to aim for the best of the best, and they get paid a shitload less than other members of their class who do just as well.
It shouldn't be the
and go to work in
local
other
councillors are on £200,000 a year.
There's a
but MPs are on
reason
85, do you know
that
what I mean?
Jeremy Hunt and what's his name? I always think Joseph Gordon-Levitt in my mind because it's
Jacob
also
Rees-Mogg.
3. Yeah, Jacob Rees-Mogg. Why do I confuse those?
I don't.
And they're very similar. Yeah, triple names that begin with
You
J.
could probably play him.
So Joseph Gordon-Levitt is the MP, obviously, and those guys they're only there because they don't need the money, and they just want to be bad people
Well,
and influence politics.
problem with
So
that-
you want to get rid of those guys.
the problem with that argument is you can then be like, all right, but then doctors deserve more money. So you have
Yes,
to pay them more.
and
as well.
this is the point
Then
that
you're just gonna
Nadia Whittam
But you're
is.
going to end
Why am I
up paying,
struggling with that
paying
name?
everyone more money.
And that's the point she's making. That's what it's not about philanthropy. It's about making sure everyone is paid more to reflect the cost of living in the world that we are. So, big respect to her. I think this is an amazing point, and she followed that quote up by saying, "When they get the pay rise they deserve, so will I." I hope this decision sparks a conversation about earnings. Now, I look at this girl and I think British Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. And I think they're 2 of the most important politicians in the world, along with the Prime Minister of New Zealand.
How old is she?
23.
Good for her.
She's fantastic.
Yeah, I wish her the best.
She also increased her majority with Chris Leslie.
Yeah, and fuck Chris Leslie because he closed my secondary school
Chris Leslie also, I voted for Nadia.
and criticised
And-
Corbyn a lot.
Yeah, and Chris Leslie was a Blairite who voted for the Iraq War and all the other great things that Blair did.
And voted for tuition fees as well
Yeah.
against party lines,
And
things
on
like
the
that.
ballot paper,
Lovely guy.
his name was still Labour colours. So it was red and yellow on the ballot paper.
Yeah, because he's in a Labour constituency.
Yeah, but he used to be. So he's been Labour MP for like 25 years, and then he lost when Corbyn and Momentum chucked him out, basically.
No, he voluntarily left.
Yeah, but because Momentum were putting.
I think you're giving him too much credit.
Fair.
Fuck Chris Leslie.
Yeah,
He's a
I
coward
agree,
and a loser.
I agree entirely.
Yeah, we were talking about momentum the other day, weren't we, Owen, with my mum? And apparently their leader, John Landsman, who's a Jewish man,
Okay.
yeah, apparently...
Weird you bring that up.
Well, no. Apparently, some of the part of the reason why they've not thrown Corbyn on the bus, because Momentum were one of his biggest supporters, like towards the election, they've moved away from him, was because John Lansman wasn't happy with the anti-Semitism thing going on the Labour Party. So apparently he's been sold down the river a little bit by the people who backed him in the first place.
Are you implying to me that there are people within upper echelons of political parties who aren't being entirely truthful?
Whoa.
See, we're not that kind of challenge.
It's tantamount to treason.
Yeah, well, you know, if my mum says it must be true.
Yeah, all right, fair enough. I believe
Right,
that.
let's talk impeachment then.
Impeachment. Okay. Yeah, we talked about it a little bit earlier. Yeah, so the thing with impeachment, where we are, would you like to hear maybe some dates to contextualise where we are?
Go on.
So, these are the important dates coming up. On Wednesday, at 1 p.m, Senate Leader Mitch McConnell, you know, the guy who's got no neck, he has referred to himself as the grave digger of democracy. That is a term that he's
referred to himself
Yeah,
as,
he markets himself on that.
Fucking legend.
I think he's the worst person in the universe. But you know, yeah, similar. Yeah. Let's agree to disagree.
Yeah, no. Just for the record, I don't think that. All right.
Yeah, no. Even his wife, I think, hates him. Much like the president. So 1 p.m. on Wednesday, he will put his opening arguments for how the Senate will approach the trial of Donald Trump.
Okay.
His opening arguments will be that there should be no witnesses because the impeachment accusations are ludicrous and will be rejected forthwith by a Republican majority.
So why is he worried about witnesses then?
Very good question.
Ooh.
Let's go to why Trump's being impeached. Does anyone offhand know the articles of impeachment?
Is it just the phone call?
So it's abuse of power
Okay.
and extortion of justice. 2 articles, and they both relate to the call. So what is the call?
Well, the call, as far as I'm aware, and correct me if I'm wrong, please, was that Donald Trump made a phone call basically to the Ukrainian
President
whatever,
Zelensky.
Zelensky saying that if you don't run this investigation into Joe Biden, then I will stop supplying. Was it money or weapons or both?
It was military aid, which is a very fun thing
Yeah,
for
it's
a government to have. It's like military aid, weapons, or not weapons, but weapons.
It's funny because Ukraine buy most of their weapons from the US,
Right.
and I think they're like the 3rd biggest.
Even
manufacturer
though
of
Russia
weapons in
right
NATO
there.
or something like that.
And that's a big contentious issue.
Well,
The kind of thing that Putin would be concerned about.
Well, this is why Putin's pissed off.
funny-
because
it's
they
funny-
just
it's funny
they
that
just
this is
build
coming
bases
up.
around the border. Antagonise.
Why am I subject to Putin? You want to go into him changing the law so he can never be unelected?
No.
Oh, that.
I've got some updates on that, but we can go into that later.
I'd like to save that for the end. We do a couple of short topics, including the Royals at the
Fucking
end.
love
Defo.
it.
Hey, big fans. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Big fans.
we want him on the podcast.
Yeah.
You're still invited for
Oh,
that.
fuck it.
Yeah.
He can stay overnight.
So
Hours.
you pretty much nailed it. And
Might get a Russian flag.
the key thing about this call is
Send
that
me a flag in my bedroom.
these calls
I'll
like
have
this
you.
could happen all the time. Calls like this could happen all the time. There could be multiple presidents. There
Well,
could have been multiple times during Trump's
As far as I'm
presidency.
aware from this whole idea that although these things are actually only implied and there's no actual factual based evidence.
Well, no, there is. So this is the difference. That someone who, so although these calls aren't recorded, they are all written down and they are listened to by a dozen people. And someone who listened to that call decided, I think the American public needs to know what was said here. And then Donald Trump himself released the transcript, thinking it would exonerate. But the transcript essentially proves his guilt.
But you know what? It's funny.
Because it didn't make him innocent, it made him more guilty. So the transcript basically proves what is, in
But-
legal terms, a quid pro quo, which
but-
is 50% of
He
bribery.
isn't actually breaking the law.
He's not.
You
in that
don't need
call.
to break the law to be impeached.
No, but he isn't actually
Do
breaking
you know
the law.
In that
what? Do you know
call,
why you don't need to
he's
break the
not.
law to be impeached?
Go on.
It's not true. It's not criminal.
Because law didn't exist when impeachment was invented. Because there was no law in the
was
United
no law.
States.
But, yeah.
Impeachment is nothing to do with the law. As the same senators who are going to exonerate Trump in this impeachment have said 2 decades ago, impeachment is not about, and I'm quoting an American senator, his name is Lindsey Graham, impeachment is not about the law It's not about the offense. It is about cleansing the office.
Yeah,
And
impeachment.
as much as he's an asshole, he's right.
But but like with everything else, impeachment's all about the Constitution.
Yeah.
It's just an abuse of constitutional power.
But the issue is, this impeachment...
So do you think that Donald Trump should remain in power, even though he is committing... and by the way, bribery it's not a criminal offence. It is a crime.
It is a crime.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's
No,
a
no.
criminal offence.
No, it's a civil offence.
No, it's not. It's
It's
a criminal offence.
It's a civil offence.
Is it?
Yeah.
Bribery is a criminal offence. If you bribe...
In which country?
In political,
In the
like,
US.
elected office.
In the US.
In the
Bribery
US,
is
it's a
criminal.
civil offence.
I'm pretty sure it is illegal. I
Criminal-
work for
criminal-
US
Because
companies.
you get
Yeah, sure.
anti-money laundering and bribery acts like this is... I'm pretty sure it would be...
Yeah, because I have to do the
illegal.
anti-bribery
Exactly.
fucking course
Exactly.
at work.
That's UK
Yeah.
law.
No, this is
I work
this
for
is national.
American companies, so I have to
Ah.
do their fucking anti-bribery courses at work.
Okay, well, I'll quickly look this up. But
Listen, this is what I want to say about
All
the
right.
impeachment, right?
either way, I think it's on the fence of a crime. If you look at what Clinton was impeached for and what impeachment has been in the past, Donald Trump is more than applicable to be tried in the Senate with witnesses.
Do you want him to be impeached?
No, the issue
I
is...
think he should have been removed from office on the first day because he breaks the emolument clause of the Constitution.
The issue with this impeachment, right, is it sets a precedence. So there's no doubt that these transcripts would have been gone on through when Obama was in tenure.
do you
Let me
not-
finish.
Sorry.
So when Obama was in tenure, these kind of calls would have gone on. When Bush would have gone on, there's a witch hunt against Trump. So these things got released. Now, if a Democratic president gets in next, are the Republicans just going to do the same fucking thing? Don't get me wrong. If Bernie comes in, it might be different. But if it's Biden or anything like that, this now sets a precedence for everyone. To
But they
impeach
already
everything.
did.
No,
Yeah, but
no,
to
they
be
haven't done
fair,
it
yeah,
since
no,
Clinton.
but to be
That
fair,
was
you
30
still,
years
no, but
ago.
To be fair, you
Exactly.
still.
It
But
was
now-
the second impeachment
but now
of
they've
all
started-
time. The
now
only
the-
time anyone else had been
the
impeached
Democrats have started
was in the
this now.
18th century.
Yeah, but you
you
don't know
can't
this is
say
started.
that.
If you're going to impeach Donald Trump for something, this is the last thing out of all the things you'd impeach for. Why don't you impeach him for killing Soleimani? Why don't you impeach him for...
But that
locking
happened
people in
afterwards.
cages? You know the reason they don't do that is because that's the exact things the Democrats do.
Well, because
No,
locking
well, hang
people
on,
in
hang on.
cages was something
Obama's
that could.
idea.
No, it was. Well, yes, it
Started
was
it.
something that happened in
Under Obama's tenure.
multiple times under multiple presidents
Yeah.
since 9/11. That's why no one's interested in that, because there's implications of other things. The reason they impeached him under this, that's all. Calm down a little. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for speaking over you there. All right.
So I went out for a piss, came back, it was very heated.
Yeah. I think personally, you are repeating a talking point that is spread by people who want a lot of people to think that. And I know that's a very, I know what's best kind of way to think. And I know it sounds like that. But if you think about how many impeachments there have been and what this clause that you can remove the head of state is. There was one guy who was just a bad guy and they got rid of him. I think it's 1800s or maybe it's late 1700s. And then Bill Clinton happened and the Republicans saw a right-wing Democrat after Reagan who won over Republican voters. And with the support of guys like who's that crazy right-wing American radio show host?
Alex Jones.
No, before him. Anyway, the guys who built the Bush administration, those talkers. Anyway, so these guys, they saw Bill Clinton winning all these votes, and they saw the scandal that was happening in his personal life, and they impeached him for perjury, for lying about an affair he had, and it happened in a public place in the Oval Office,
Abusing
and
power.
they started this nonsense. The Democrats are responding to the worst president since this first guy.
Also-
I think this is more. You are now bringing up what should have been brought up back then.
See,
But this is
I would like
completely
to-
non-
no, but I would like
This
to-
is non-partisan completely, though.
Just quickly, if you look at American politics, around the time of Bill Clinton, there started, and I'll find you actually. There started just a complete split within American politics, where there used to be bipartisan work.
Yeah.
They then moved further apart. The Democrats moved somewhat, but their center remained where it was. You still have Biden and Clinton, but the Republicans just continue to move to the right, and they have done since the Clinton era, the Bill Clinton era. Really, it started with Reagan and Thatcher, but
Yes.
it didn't started to happen on both sides until Clinton, and in the UK, Blair. But the centre of the Labour Party and the centre of the Democrats hasn't moved that much. But the centre of the Republicans and the centre of the Conservatives, and tell me I'm not right, but that's budged way out to the right.
Yeah.
The extreme has gone more extreme, and the left part has gone a bit more right.
The US have not got a leftist party. They haven't got one. The Democrats are not.
That's yet to be seen.
They're not.
That's yet to be seen.
What was that quote you said last time?
When we were talking about it earlier.
Crazy
I think
Bernie Sanders.
Oh shit! Yeah.
Sorry,
It's
like
two
crazy Bernie Sanders with making massive gains in the party of do nothing or something stupid.
Yeah, in the do nothing party.
The do nothing party.
What happens next? Let's see.
Yeah.
Do you not think that sounds like Trump just going?
This is my theory. Behind the Democrats.
I always think
He
about
doesn't give a
this.
shit.
The Democrats
I think
would
he's
rather
terrified.
lose.
No, I don't think he is.
So they would rather lose than have Bernie Sanders in the White House, and that is a fact. They would rather lose to Donald Trump because that protects all their corporate
100%,
gravy train,
100%.
perhaps all their fucking military funding. All the people that sponsor the Democrats would hate Bernie Sanders to get in charge, and
Absolutely.
it would be far more ideal for them to let Donald Trump win. So this is why the impeachment got delayed to stop Bernie Sanders campaigning, because he has to sit the Senate because he's a senator. He has to sit in the trials.
I think the
but
reason
Joe Biden can go around and fucking campaign in Iowa.
Just to bring it back to where we are with impeachment, the big new development and why I think impeachment has been passed to the Senate now is the testimony of Lev Parnas.
Okay.
So Lev Parnas is one of the two Ukrainian guys who were working for Rudy Giuliani to
I
influence.
think it's all about the primaries and all about the campaign in Iowa, all of it, because it's the
It
DNC.
could be. I mean,
it's the DNC against Kurt Burney. What better way to scupper his chances if they block him campaigning?
But I want to make a further point
Well,
you made and agree with a point you made earlier.
Okay.
It's about impeachment. So you said earlier that you think that is. You said something about a witch hunt, and then you said that you think that's a word that's being used by people who want people to think that, and it's being passed on word of mouth.
You can't say that Donald Trump's not been against a witch hunt.
Well,
Look
hang
at all
on.
the media,
Well, hang on.
CNN.
I'm not suggesting. All I'm saying is that to say there's a witch hunt against Donald Trump right now, I think, is a bit like saying some of the things that both. So like, it's a bit like saying all Brexiteers are racist.
Let's say there's a
Or it's
hypothetical black
or it's
president where half of the country demanded to see his passport to prove he was an actual American
'Cause that shit
citizen,
happened,
even
yeah.
though he was already sworn in as the president,
And
which
actually-
means the FBI and the CIA have all checked if you're American.
If R.
and then
Kelly was
everyone
on-
went, "Oh yeah, prove you're American."
If R. Kelly was on the
You're a
run,
black guy.
If R. Kelly was on the run and everyone was looking for him, you wouldn't describe that as a witch hunt because he should be found. And arguably, mate, I get what you're saying in terms of Trump's been up against a witch hunt, but also Donald Trump. In 2008, he was a Democrat who loved the Clintons.
Yeah,
he's been
he
accused.
did love the Clintons.
He's been hang on, I'm not finished. He's been accused of groping women. He's been accused of assault.
fucking said he does.
He's been accused of
by the
assaulting women.
pussy.
Grab him by the
He
pussy.
says he grabs them by the pussy, and it's like, can you call it a witch hunt, or is it just a reaction to a lot of very, very, very intense, offensive language that he used himself? Is that a witch hunt, or is that just, you know what, actually this person's not?
I don't know.
Here's my response.
You listen to the call, he sounds like a fucking 90s gangster.
Yeah.
Basically sounding someone else to a job. Without
Exactly.
Without actually asking them to do it.
So it's
like
not a
you to
witch
do
hunt,
us
it's a
favour.
perfectly legitimate
My-
questioning of his abuse of
Do
power.
me a favour.
And the
You're
idea that
talking-
it's a witch hunt
But
is...
I'm talking about what he's done in tenure. So if you're talking about previous presidents, for example, George Bush, you could argue his administration covered up 9/11. It certainly did. My point being, right?
Sorry,
compared
history.
to what other
It's just
presidents
blowing
have
my
done,
mind at the moment.
compared to what actual Donald Trump has done in tenure, compared to the previous presidents and what they've actually done in terms of affecting the world, starting wars.
It was very ineffective.
You talk about a witch hunt. These guys should be witch hunted for the crimes they did against
Yeah, but that's
humanity.
my point.
But Donald
Entirely.
Trump
Yeah, but that's
is
my
not.
point.
You're comparing
Yeah, but
him to
that's,
a
no, it's
conversation.
not. That's my point entirely, because you're saying, you know, well, if this isn't a witch, if this, you know, you're saying, oh, well, then the others should have been witch hunted as well, and therefore, but actually, that misses my point entirely, which was the supposed witch hunt from the start of his presidency, which has supposedly been there the whole time, because Trump has been saying witch hunt from the day he got into office, and I'm saying,
I would say before.
and I'm saying it's not. The word witch hunt is not accurate because they're not responding to tenure. They were witch hunting him. Witch hunting.
Well,
in
witch
quotation.
hunting, we've
Hang
said
on,
this
hang on,
word
hang
a
on.
lot.
They
It's
were-
like Someone's looking for something that's not real.
But they were witch hunting
You're
him.
looking for a witch.
But before
you know.
he became president, it's not about his tenure. It's about the fact that this man, regardless of whether you like or dislike his politics, regardless of whether you like or dislike his policies, what he's done for the economy, jobs, that's all irrelevant because he's not fit to be president of the United States.
That's
and George.
irrelevant.
No,
But hang on,
irrelevant.
they're not impeaching him for any of those things you're describing.
Yeah,
Let's talk about the fact.
but I'm not.
No,
yeah, but
you
I'm not
described their impeachment
I'm not
for.
responding to the impeachment. I'm responding to your use of the word witch hunt, which
But
is.
you're witch hunting him for all those things he can't be impeached for.
I'm not witch hunting him at all. I'm
are.
not.
That's what you just did.
You literally said that, aren't you? Yeah,
That's
you
not a
say
witch-
he's not fit to be president, etc. Like, you know, for this, and this. That's a witch hunt.
That's not a witch hunt if it's true. A witch hunt would be no. A witch hunt would be
That's
saying.
the reason to be
allegation.
impeached, though,
I would
isn't
say
it?
you're straw manning him.
No, but I'm not talking about the impeachment. I'm talking about your use of the word witch hunt. I don't think it's
All
a
right,
witch
all
hunt.
right. Let's reset. Let's talk about what's going to happen next week with impeachment.
Okay.
So we've talked about what impeachment is.
Yeah.
And briefly how we feel about it. Let's talk about what's going on. So Wednesday
Go on,
at
G.
1 p.m., Mitch McConnell, leader of the gravedigger of democracy, you remember him?
Legend.
He's gonna. Yeah, let's go with it. Why not? We're an impartial podcast. At 1 p.m. Yeah, 1 p.m.
It's not a witch hunt out here, is it?
Exactly. And that's what we're about here, nothing specific. So 1 p.m. he puts forward the motion. There should be no witnesses. Why would we need witnesses to decipher such a cut and dry, everyone agrees
I agree with what you're
impeachment?
saying.
There you go.
How reliable are we?
No opinions.
Okay, fine. Build the wall, build the
Then
wall.
he will put forward the motion for impeachment. This is laid out, I believe, in the Constitution, or at least it has been adhered to over both impeachments. There will be 24 hours for each side to argue their case.
Okay.
Post witnesses.
Right.
So assuming there's no witnesses, this 24 hours will begin immediately. So right now they have 24 hours split over 2 days, 12 hours per day.
Yeah.
And you can't start until something ridiculous like 3 in the afternoon. The idea being, back when they impeached Clinton, you had 4 days to split this 24 hours over. So you do 6 hours, 6 hours, 6 hours, 6 hours. And it made sense. They liked this because they wanted to draw the Clinton impeachment out. They wanted to have lots of talk about how negative it was. All these clips we were hearing about Lindsey Graham and Mitch McConnell back then, what they were saying then was during impeachment because they drew it out over this big amount of time. The agenda that Mitch McConnell will put forward on Wednesday is that there should only be 2 days. So you have to argue into the night, and all votes will be taken at night.
Right, okay.
Do you remember a couple of weeks ago I played you a clip of a Republican senator who was really excited to say that the Democrats made him vote in the middle of the night? And then the Democrats called the session early because they didn't want the vote in the middle of the night. And he turned up in the morning and was like, they made me vote at 7 in the afternoon. And it made no fucking
afternoon,
sense.
that's not-
Because he'd left the same speech the same and he just did it anyway. So that should pass.
Yeah.
Because it's a Republican dominated Senate. Then the House will, I believe it's Democrats first.
Right.
The prosecution first, because it is a court of law. You know how trials work. The idea is we're going to skip to the end.
Right.
Because, in the words of Mitch McConnell and the rest of them, there's not enough for impeachment. I'm sorry, there was way too few chins in there. Not enough for impeachment.
Yeah.
All that kind of shit. So that brings us to why we got here today. And well, not today. I believe it was Thursday, maybe, that Congress passed it to... Thursday last week.
Yeah.
That Congress passed it to the Senate. So why do I think it's today? Lev Parnas, one of the 2 Ukrainians who worked for Rudy Giuliani, has done an open interview with CNN. And he has, in the build-up to that, been posting photos of him and Donald Trump and him and Rudy Giuliani. My favourite one of which was his lawyer posted the tweet, every day that Mitch McConnell says there shouldn't be witnesses in the trial, I'll post a picture of my clients, Lev Parnas and Donald Trump. And he did this every day for like 2 weeks. And these guys are Trump's guys, so they rock and roll.
Yeah.
So there's no fucks given. Have you ever seen Lev Parnas?
No.
He's 90% bald, but he has comb over game like you've never seen before.
Comb over.
And he's a Ukrainian national. I love that the first picture of him is him with the previous Attorney General. This is him on the left.
I like his hair.
On the right, sorry. He's great. So this guy is now. Let's see if we've got some more. Oh, it says Lev Parnas and Igor Fruman. That's the other guy. Oh, here's the hair.
Whoa.
Oh, that's great,
Wow.
right?
That's
Wow. Wow.
I ain't at that level yet. I ain't at that level
Now,
yet.
does he or does he not look like a Russian gangster?
He is
does.
definitely.
Very much so. If you find his mugshot, that's his maximum Russian gangster. So he's now gone out and said, so he's being indicted. They got him while he was buying a one-way ticket to Ukraine out the country. They got him in the airport.
Right.
So he's now being arrested, and he's obviously now started making bargains. And so he's gone out and he's confirmed that, among a number of important things, he's confirmed a lot of the stuff in the call is true, and that it was pre-planned, and that Rudy Giuliani, Zelensky went on American television. He went on CNN, and he said, "We're gonna start an investigation into corruption in America." And then they went back to Trump, and they were like, well, they went back to Giuliani, and therefore Trump, who was his personal lawyer, and they were like, there you go, we did it, give us the money. And Trump was like, no, you have to say it's into Biden, otherwise it doesn't work. And this guy, I have videos of him saying that, but there's another video I want to play first, because I don't want to play too many clips. So this is during the CNN interview, and he says something that I think is more important than impeachment, more important than anything like this. This is the most important thing.
Lev Parnas saying that Republicans are afraid to speak out because of Bill Barr. This is weird.
This is the Attorney
Because
General, right?
I never thought I was doing anything wrong. I'm still, I regret certain things that I did because, hurting the ambassador, and because that was not something, but it was part of. It's like when you're in a war, you think like casualties and stuff like that. It's bad to say, but it was, and I keep saying it was like being in a cult. I mean, and when they say organized crime, I don't think Trump is like organized. I think he's like a cult leader. And right now, the scary part, and that's what I keep mentioning, and people don't understand, is there's a lot of Republicans that would go against him. The only reason if you take a look, and you know very well because you've been following, the difference between why Trump is so powerful now, and he wasn't as powerful in 16 and 17. He became that powerful when he got William Barr.
Yeah.
People are scared. Am I scared? Yes. Because I think I'm more scared of our own Justice Department than of these criminals right now. Because, the scariest part is getting locked in some room and being treated as an animal when you did nothing wrong. Or when you're not, and that's the tool they're using. I mean, just because they're trying to scare me into not talking and doing, but with God's help and with my lawyer next to me that I know will go bad for me no matter what.
But that's an important turn of phrase, isn't it?
My wife is scared, my kids are nervous.
I'm going out in public and saying, I know exactly what's going on. This is exactly what's going on, and you can't get me because I have shit on you.
I really like that clip because my favourite person from the Trump administration, the Mooch, came out recently.
Anthony Scaramucci.
Yeah, Scaramucci, man. He came out recently and said that.
Forget about it.
He said Trump on more than one occasion turned around to him and said, "I don't understand why people think I know what I'm doing because I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just following orders." And Scaramucci's been there, he's seen it firsthand. He knows what's going on.
And under Scaramucci, or around that time, the former Attorney General, the guy who, when I found you that picture of Lev Parnas, the guy who was standing next to us, Jeff Sessions, he recused himself from some anti-Trump thing. I think it's when he tried to use I think it was the kids in cages thing.
How many of them?
And Jeff Sessions recused himself from something. Recusing yourself is saying that I have a conflict of interests as an independent legal body.
Right.
Because I support Donald Trump.
Yeah.
And he went, I can't do this. This will ruin my career as a lawyer. Because I want to deal with Democrats in the future, So then William Barr was introduced. But he is Bush and Reagan era. And he has the attitude of the president is king. And we essentially should be a dictatorship. He even quoted a name of this ideology. He's a long-time proponent of the unitary executive theory of nearly unfettered presidential authority over the executive branch of the US government. Essentially, There's 3 branches of the US government. Everything Donald Trump says is the law until one of the other 2 contradicts him.
Until actually his Attorney General tells him it's something different.
Well, the Attorney General is part of the Justice Department, which would...
So he essentially tells him what the law is. Yeah.
History is cyclical. Oh, just on a weird history being like cyclical thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so William Barr, he was Attorney General before.
Right.
For
Is it not? Correct me if I'm wrong. It's a lifetime appointment.
No. It's like
Or was that the Attorney General?
the head lawyer in
Or was
the
that
US.
the Supreme Court guy?
Supreme Court is a
That's
lifetime
right.
appointment.
But he
yeah.
put a massive Republican there as well, didn't he? What was his name?
Kavanaugh. Brett Kavanaugh.
Kavanaugh,
So Trump's now appointed 2 Supreme Court justices.
Yeah.
Bear in mind,
But this is the problem with Democrats.
It's
getting
unusual
now,
to appoint
for
one.
life. Yeah, that's right. It's very rare.
And Mitch McConnell, you remember him, grave digger of democracy.
Legend.
He stated his you have no running joke there. He stated, and he said it in his re-election campaign, his greatest achievement of all time is when I told President Obama, you will not fill this Supreme Court vacancy. And I don't even have to play the clip because that's how he said it. I love it. He's like Foghorn Leghorn. I say, boy.
Yeah.
You will not fulfill the Supreme Court
Pretty
vacancy.
much everyone from the south of America, though.
He's from Kentucky as well.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah,
the
of course
senator
he is.
for Kentucky.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he's now the guy who's deciding all this shit. So William Barr in 1992 was George H.W. Bush. George W.'s dad. He was his Attorney General.
W.
And he very much influenced George H.W. Bush after he lost the election and was about to be... Well, he was his second term, but the Republicans had lost the election. He was about to be replaced by Clinton. He persuaded him to pardon 5 people who were convicted of incredibly duplicitous things under the Reagan administration in what was known as the Iran-Contra affair.
Oh wow. Okay.
This is where Reagan sold arms to the Iranians, to the militia that led to the current Iranian Republic after the revolution.
Makes sense.
Which was deemed illegal, but because it was illegal, he could then use those the money he made from that, to fund the Contra forces who were convicted of, and I will read them out because I have them here, various human rights violations in Nicaragua that the Americans funded, including targeting healthcare clinics, kidnapping civilians, torturing civilians, executing civilians, raping women, indiscriminately attacking civilians and civilian houses, seizing civilian property and burning civilian houses in captured towns. That's based on the Human Rights Watch from the UN. And there were 6 people who were found guilty of these things who Reagan funded. And then William Barr in 1992...
Only six people.
At the tip top.
They were probably the decision makers.
I've got their names if you want them.
These 6 people did all that shit.
Well,
No.
They
orchestrated it.
funded the people that did that against the US Congress who voted against them doing that.
I'll take that. Yeah.
So there were 6 people who agreed to fund this shit, even though the US had voted against doing it.
Yeah.
Because they knew these guys were doing this shit.
William Barr.
Anyway, William Barr, he pardoned all these guys, and he is a proponent of the idea that president is king, and he's Attorney General at the moment. Then you have Lev Parnas saying, I'm scared because of this. The Democrats want him on the witness stand, and they want Bolton on the witness stand. And they think, and there's support, 71% of Republicans want witnesses in the Senate, because they want Biden gone. The media perception is that Trump is a Republican, Trump thinks that. But I think Republican voters just hate Democrats.
I think if the Republicans...
And they don't care whether it's Trump or not Trump. They just want to fuck over Biden.
Excuse my pun.
Yeah,
if
please.
the Republicans biden their time, I'm sure they'll see the slow decay of Biden anyway.
Exactly.
It's happening, So I don't feel they need to push that. But it's an interesting point because, the Biden... He is completely implicated in this, and this is why he's been completely quiet. I mean, Trump had grounds to investigate him. Well, the way he did it, obviously, is But
he named his son Hunter.
Yeah,
Fuck off.
I know.
Fuck off.
I know. I mean, he's just the worst, isn't he?
And
I don't understand how we were talking before about all the horrible plans and his record on social care and things like that.
He brags. There's videos of him bragging in Congress to Republicans about how good he is at cutting welfare
Yeah.
and Medicaid.
Can you think what he represents and the fact that Obama had him as his vice president for 8 years?
To appease the fact that you had a black president.
It's-
That's the whole reason.
That's
he was
why they
there.
did. They put him there.
whole
To be put
reason
him there
he
to
was there.
balance him out. I
Whole
mean,
reason he
I've
was there,
got
man.
massive issues with Obama, but I also think he was.
I think Biden's worse than
He was
Clinton
just.
as well.
He was just. Yeah, he probably was. I mean, he was probably the one pulling the strings. I think Clinton's a bit of a.
He's been in the loop longer.
Yes,
They're probably
he has,
as bad
yes.
as each other. But if you want to talk about, I don't think there is a deep state. I think if there's a deep state, it's Republican. But if there is a Democratic deep state,
Well,
it's
certainly-
Biden's
there's
deep
certainly-
state, not Clinton's.
there's
Because
certainly a
Biden was there
corporation.
during the Reagan era.
There's a corporation deep state without doubt. when it
Biden's
comes to
been there
lobbying.
since
What
the
is deep?
dawn
What
of
is
time.
deep state though? Like, you know, compare it to something else. Is it
It's-
like
it's a buzzword.
Is it just like underground hip hop compared to like Drake?
No,
It's
it's a
they're just
buzzword.
talking about someone.
It's a
running
way of
streets.
saying-
No. So you got public politics and you got behind the scenes politics.
Perfect analogy.
Yeah.
Dark web and normal
Exactly.
internet, bro.
Yeah.
So like,
that's it.
put it in hip hop
But we all
terms.
know it exists.
So
Yeah.
I hate underground grime music.
Yeah.
But I enjoy underground, like, old school hip hop. I can't say, like, oh yeah, underground music shit. Because the underground hip hop I listen to is well known to me. But the underground grime I don't like and I don't listen to. That's how the deep state works. The left can go, the right wing deep
Well,
state, oh, fuck them.
The deep
'Cause
state,
they're
the deep
right.
state, the
they
deep state are
exist
running.
and they suck.
The deep
And
state
the
are
other
running different
side's
issues.
right.
The deep state are running issues. They're running military, and they're doing that. And then the local issues to do with the government are just left to the government. But the actual running of the world.
But
It's the deep state. You know, that's the whole
even in the
government's
deep,
what I'm talking about.
Even
is
in a deep state, there's different agendas. Different agendas are trying to push. Someone wants to push fucking military arms. Someone wants to push monetary aid somewhere else, just because it benefits them. Someone wants to do.
Corporations have more power
Someone
than
wants to
the
implement
government.
a new.
This is my point.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
And these are the ones that run
that's-
it, but they're not. That's the deep state I'm talking
It's
about. Not-
bipartisan, and it's not just bipartisan. It's international,
and
it's global.
Even
It's
bigger than
corporations.
corporations are
Of course,
data.
it's capitalist society. It's globalization.
Alphabet. Google.
So I suppose what we're saying is
more powerful. More powerful.
Good job, guys. We're big fans of you, and we hope that you just will let us just carry on. If anything, if you could benefit us in some way, we'd appreciate it.
Yeah.
I'd like to reduce police presence on all streets.
You'd like to reduce it.
Please, deep state, reduce police presence in
Around Steve.
in all Midlands areas.
In all Midlands areas.
Yes,
What
yeah,
if you
yeah.
get burgled?
I don't give a shit. They get my house. I got bars on my windows. They
You're-
get in my fucking. And I got Owen as well.
You've
I
got a Home
Owen.
Alone style
Yeah,
setup.
I've got.
You're
something-
coming in a
Am I
pink
gonna
can.
buy?
I've got something better than a fucking guard dog. I've got a human.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
And this is the man who is currently going out. And in fairness, the guy who's I'm playing off that Sam Cedar Majority Report, he goes on to say there are parts of this we should be suspicious of. This is a man who is definitely being convicted of multiple crimes. Can we trust what he's saying? The fact that he stutters on someone who's done nothing wrong, referring to himself, and corrects himself and says, or whatever ridiculous thing he says. Clearly, when he says, my lawyer next to me, he's reading a script.
Yeah.
And that whole interview, you can see he's reading a script, but it's so telling. And I feel differently about impeachment than I did a week ago. I think it's going to be, at the very least, really fucking interesting. So, just to bring it to the state-by-state thing that we were talking about earlier with Bernie, Trump, and the other Democratic candidates, we were talking about the percentages. And you brought up a picture that I think you'd seen, that I've seen as well.
It was on Twitter. Cody Johnson had liked or retweeted it.
Which I actually didn't find it from Cody Johnson as well, which I thought was funny, but I'm going to show it to Eddie.
It was a bit bizarre because Trump was leading the polls as the named candidate at 31%, whereas other, which was Bernie Sanders,
Oh, I have it for you here.
was leading at
It's
33%.
ABC 7 News. This is, and it's a bullshit poll to begin with, because you can't poll the populace of the US on every Democratic candidate and one Republican candidate, because you can't find the data on that. So it's a bullshit poll to begin with. But they've clearly done a poll to be anti-Bernie, and Bernie's won it.
The fact that they've done it so obviously, because it's like they've completely disregarded him from the race. Like he's not even. Not even.
Who's missing? Who's this Pokemon? It's Bernie.
Have you seen this?
Do you know what I was thinking about? Like the inner circle of Trump. I wonder how many of them are sitting there thinking, "I cannot wait to write a book about this." It's just like about 10 years after his presidency, he's just like, someone writes a book about
There
how
are-
much crazy shit he did.
Why have they
Either
put Bernie
two-
as other?
Either 2 or 4 of the people on that list are only running for president so they'll sell a book.
Who is the main advertising campaigners for a lot of the news networks? Oil, gas, energy, and pharmaceuticals.
Koch
now,
brothers.
what does Bernie represent? He represents a massive threat to all of that.
Yep.
Green New Deal and Medicare for all.
So have you heard-
all of the commercial media companies are going to do their utmost to prevent Bernie from getting any kind of sway, or at least
Absolutely.
and just trying to hide the fact that actually he is popular.
A la Corbyn, just to bring it back around to someone I know you're a huge fan of.
Go on.
You know Hillary Clinton?
Oh, love her.
Yeah, she's great, right? But she doesn't like Bernie. Have you heard her latest tweet? Again, trying to sell a book.
She's doing a fucking documentary, this silly slag.
She tweeted out.
It's live.
It's
I was like,
promoting a documentary.
How many things
It's
is she
promoting
going to
a
miss out on
documentary.
that? About all your Clinton diss trial, you're going to miss that out.
Well, promoting that,
You should be directed
Oh,
it.
she's direct.
she sent out a tweet that said, "Nobody likes Bernie."
Who likes Hillary?
For 3 or 4 days, one of the top tweets in the world was, "I like Bernie."
She's so oblivious. of
Just
how
people
much
just
she's fucking
randomly
hated.
Do you
tweeting, "I
remember
like
everyone
Bernie."
hates Chris when that was on?
Yeah.
Everyone hates fucking Hillary.
Yeah.
Do you know what,
That's done
Bernie?
that, yeah.
Do you know what?
Cruz.
Just slapping Hillary around.
Bernie Sanders on Clinton saying nobody likes him. My wife likes me. I love Bernie Sanders.
And Bill does not like Hillary, does he? Let's be honest, because
No.
let's flip that round.
Okay, so Bernie is, since 2 days ago, leading in a CNN national poll. This is post-heart attack, in a point where he's, vulnerable,
Yeah.
you might say. So he's up 27 to Biden's 24, up 7 points. Biden's down 2, Warren's down 2 at 14, which means...
Warren's made to make herself look a fool recently.
I think bringing up an argument
It's ridiculous.
that if it was a problem, why didn't she bring it up in November?
I'm pretty sure she was a fucking Republican. For
Why
like
did she
40
wait
fucking
until
years as
Bernie
well.
was...
She used to be a fucking Republican. What is this woman? What's she on?
I'm not a big Warren supporter, and I don't like the idea that it's we have to go with a female candidate because it's beating Donald Trump. I think that's a really, really ridiculous
that worked last
strategy.
time, didn't it?
That's picking the wrong person for the wrong reason. Pick the best person. The best person is Bernie.
Didn't do that last time, did they? Look what happened.
Oh,
Let's see if they do it again.
I just
frustrates
think
me.
I'm just trying to picture in my head the last debate, Trump Warren. Warren will get annihilated. Regardless of any, she'll get. She'll just.
Yeah, she will. She'll
And
just
she-
get the same with Biden. Biden will be the
Whereas
same.
Bernie is a populist like
Do you
Trump.
remember the
And
connection that those two
Bernie
have
would
as
bury
well?
him. Bernie would bury
Bernie
him.
says slogans like Trump does. He just says things.
He did a New York Times extended video interview with multiple journalists in the room.
Yeah.
He swears. He's aggressive. He's kind of
Did you see that?
Trumpy.
Did you see the CNN
He
debate?
says, "I don't buy into any of that bullshit." A lot. He kind of calls the journalists dickheads to their faces.
Did you see-
Honestly, look at it. He's doing his best Trump.
We're talking about Bernie. Did you
He
guys
knows
see the...
he's going to win the vote now.
you see the CNN
He's
debate?
now campaigning Trump already.
Right. Did you watch the CNN debate with Warren and Bernie on there?
Yeah,
So the
yeah.
CNN moderator asked Bernie Sanders, she was like, did you, Bernie, say that a woman could never be elected as president? And he said, no, I didn't. And the moderator turned to Elizabeth Warren and said, and he goes, Elizabeth Warren, how did you feel when Bernie Sanders told you that you could never be president?
You know what?
And he's
yeah.
just like, he sat there and he's like, did you fucking, what?
And then they cut to the CNN panel in the halftime thing, and the CNN moderator is like, "I don't know what the hell happened there. I don't know what that was about."
I've got the perfect
No
thing
one
for
could
this.
explain it.
I've got
No
the
one
perfect
could
thing for
explain
this.
it.
I came across the perfect thing for this. So I came across a tweet the other day. I was like, still thinking about Sanders asking Warren to run in 2016. Her refusing, him running only when he knows she won't.
Yep.
Her refusing to endorse him anyway.
Yep.
Then running against him 4 years later and accusing him of believing that a woman can't be president. It's
Yep.
like, what a sociopathic shit.
She is. She is.
This is a woman, and you know why she won't beat Trump? Do you know what the connection is between Trump and Warren? Because this is a story that existed in the pre-Donald Trump massive stratosphere. Wasn't that big a story outside the US?
Native Americans.
No.
Dane,
What? It's close. You're close, man. You're well close. Warren claimed to be Native American. Trump did what he always did, was just like, prove it.
Yeah, he was right. And she was like, what?
Yeah, he was right. And she lost, and she released it, and she wasn't.
Fake news.
And can you imagine those two running against each other? Why would we trust a woman who lies about who she
Can you
is?
imagine if they're doing a debate and it's Warren
I'm
versus Trump?
honest about who I am.
he's
I
gonna
may
say to
have faults.
What's
You
he
can
going to
see
say
it
to
now.
Warren in that?
He's going to stalk her around the stage like he did Hillary.
She's
Trump's
going to
come out with
lose.
fucking flowers in his hair.
Trump is
fucking
going.
feathers.
The misogynist will beat 2 female nominees in 2 consecutive elections. Can you imagine what that does to feminism in the US?
I know.
It's
Imagine.
horrendous. Fuck that.
Hillary's already
Warren
fucked.
will lose, not because she's a woman, but because she's shit.
Yes, exactly.
Bernie for president.
Oh yeah, we all agree with that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But I just think it needs to keep being said forever and ever. Here's why the latest Bernie polls are important.
Okay.
The spread between Obama 2012 and Clinton in these places, 588,000 people who went for Obama in 2012 didn't vote for either Hillary or Trump in 2016 in 3 swing states. And I don't think it's, I think she must be talking about 3 other states, or not necessarily Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania. Maybe it's Michigan, Wisconsin, 1 or 2 other places. I'm not sure. But because she said it's by 107,000 votes. If you look at the Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Michigan, you're talking closer to 70,000 votes. So maybe the idea, wherever it is, the point being that there are
Bernie
these
was
votes out
always
there that
leading in those
There would have been
states.
a lot of people that wouldn't have voted last time because they hate Hillary.
I have a
and
question.
They can't
Exactly.
vote for Trump.
I have a
It's good
question.
point, it's a good
So you know
point.
how you just saying about how
People hated
what
Hillary.
would Trump say?
My ex said she would have voted for Bernie.
I
what
would
would
have
Trump-
voted for Trump, honestly. If I was in that last, I would have
She
voted
made
for Trump over
arguments.
Hillary,
She made
honestly.
arguments. Shout out to Rachel. You're not listening, but she made arguments and made me think that maybe I would have done it in her shoes.
Honestly, and if I was in America, yeah, I would.
'Cause
sounds
Hillary
radical.
was
But
like
you-
Blair times a million.
But you just said what Trump would say
Mixed
to
with
Warren
Thatcher.
about, why would you vote for someone who pretends? What about Trump? Why would you vote for someone who's already had a heart attack once?
It's a good point, but what does Trump have to say about his physical health?
No, but
I bet
Trump,
it-
yeah, but it's fine. He might,
I
not,
think-
be,
I
he might not
think-
be the healthiest bloke in the world, but Bernie's an old man who's already had a heart attack once. So what happens if he has
I'm gonna
another
try
one
and find you this,
a week after he gets elected? That's a very good argument for Trump.
It is the argument he'll put forward, but you know why I'll put it forward? Because Bernie's going to win the
He'll
nomination.
do it. He'll do
and
it.
that
He did
is
the
going
same
to
thing
happen
against
now.
Hillary, wasn't it? When Hillary was all like,
He's going to
Trump
have
did it.
something against
Fuck
somebody.
up. So yeah.
Fuck it, that's good enough. I think Bernie beats him anyway.
Do you think
New
Bernie
York-
could just come back with if that's the only reason not to elect me as president, then vote for me, and he can just be like, I've got plans in place.
Well, that's it. Hopefully, he sets a platform before even if he does tick as go, because he's going to bring some good people with him.
Who
once
do you think
gets
he
there.
should pick as his vice? Because Bernie's going to have a good vice, because Bernie's going to have to say, look, if I do cop it,
Yeah, that's a good point.
you've got this. So who do you think Bernie should pick as his vice president?
Warren.
Fuck off.
I would
Warren-
like him to pick Warren, just ironically, but just fuck her over and give her shit jobs.
To get that part of the electorate.
It could be a thing.
The
It could be a thing.
Democratic
It could be a
electorate.
thing.
And it would be a good
It's
appointment.
a good question.
I would
It's a good question.
very much use that. My ideal appointment to achieve the same thing in a more diverse way is Kamala Harris. I think she's good on camera, and I think she fills the vice president role much better. And it's another diversity thing that
What
the
excites me
Democrats
about it
can
is-
aspire to be. I think there's nothing wrong with aspiring to be diverse
Yeah.
in the appointments to officials that are predominantly
I also
filled by
saw that
whites and males.
Tulsi Gabbard was suing Hillary Clinton today because she accused her of being a fucking.
Remind me who Tulsi Gabbard is. But
Can we pause?
I mean, for what reason?
Because I'm gonna have to say goodbye. So.
All right, well,
Well, you
yeah.
need to do that on the air.
You have to do it on
Yeah,
there,
you have
'cause
to
then
put
like,
it
where
there.
have you gone?
Okay,
Yeah.
fair. Alright.
You can't just like dip in
You
and out.
can't just go, yeah, I'm going to go. Yeah.
Okay, it's been short, it's been brief, but once again, I've had a very good time on nothing specific. Thank you very much for having me, Jacob, the host. Thank you very much, guys. I arrived a poor man, and I've left enriched with knowledge.
and weed.
Ah, you know, convert that knowledge into into
Just to
money.
clarify, we're not weed dealers.
The actual,
Well, I'll cut that bit out.
the actual,
Enriched in knowledge, I was happy with.
the actual reason I'm leaving is
Now I have to cut all of it.
the actual reason I'm leaving is because still don't have a house key, and all my housemates are about to go on a night out, and I can't get into the flat once they leave. So That's the real boring reason. But
So essentially, Eddie's having a tough time when he came in, and he's having a tough time when he left.
It's tough
It's
time.
tough being Eddie
Fuck
sometimes.
Jeff Bezos.
Yeah, fuck that guy.
fuck that guy.
Ain't it, mate? Fuck that guy.
So, like, final thoughts. You just asked me what I think is going to happen with impeachment.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
honestly, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think I was so certain that even the thought that it wouldn't just be completely rejected by the Republican Senate. A couple of weeks ago, the thought that that wouldn't happen was bizarre to me. But there's a couple of things that could change. It's very close to a date that's coming up. So the date for primaries, they put a lot of them on the same day. It's called Super Tuesday because it's America, and that's
how they do things.
Yeah.
so that is March 3rd.
Man United playing on the same day.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Man United Burnley and Man City fucking Barnsley. Yeah, it's our Super Sunday.
The double header.
Gary Neville and Carragher commentating. Hey, you never got that vote, mate.
People should be voting for Bernie Sanders.
He's the people's champion, mate.
Exactly, all of that. I wish that would actually be something. I just had to think about that.
So we just have fucking like Jamie Carragher and fucking Gary Neville do the election for the American election. That'd be amazing.
Yeah, it would.
Yeah, it'd be cracking, would it?
I would enjoy that.
Monday night election special.
Not like the drawing board where they're doing stats. But it's just votes,
Get
like.
Roy Keane days, just they're ready to bang everyone.
Hey, yeah. Hey, New Hampshire's just turned, mate.
Oh man, because it's English names. Then in New Hampshire, it just sounds normal. Do you want to do what you've been watching?
Oh, I went to go see The Gentleman yesterday.
How was it, bro?
Oh,
The
you
new
know
Guy
non-spoilers.
Ritchie film. Non-spoilers. It's as good, if not better, than Rock and Roller.
Okay,
Really?
that's
Okay. How would
Yeah.
you put it in comparison to the top two?
Snatch and Locked Up.
Yeah.
It's not as good as those. No.
Is it comparable?
But I thought Rock and Roll was really enjoyable.
I do as well.
So if it's the same level as that, I'm perfectly
This is-
content.
yeah, yeah.
I'm
This is-
content with that.
This is very
And I
enjoyable.
prefer the cast to this.
This is very enjoyable. It was more fun to watch in cinema than a lot of other films I went to go see. I've been to go see Star Wars in cinema recently.
Yeah,
and that was
yeah,
shit.
did you?
And I tell you what, I went to go see this. It was much more enjoyable. Classic Guy Ritchie film. Smooth editing. Good cast. Matthew McConaughey lead.
Yeah.
The guy from Sons of Anarchy playing his assistant.
Charlie Hunnam.
That's the one.
Yeah, he was in the other one of his films as well, right? He was in he was King Arthur.
Yes, he was. That was a shit film though.
Was that-
Yeah, I
Sorry,
really,
go on.
I really enjoyed The Gentleman. It was really good.
Was it, how long was it?
2 hours.
Okay,
but
so-
that's including credits and
Yeah,
whatnot.
yeah,
so
yeah.
it's about an hour 45.
That's
I
a
reckon.
good amount of time.
Yeah, it's a good time for a Guy Ritchie film.
It's a
Yeah.
British land film.
Oh, Colin Farrell's in it as well.
Oh, how's Hugh Grant's performance?
Oh,
in
a
it?
fucking.
Oh, that's what I want to know as
Yeah.
well.
Oh, Hugh Grant.
Yeah.
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 He plays a private eye.
Does he? Okay.
Yeah. And he's not as menacing as he seems in the trailer.
Right.
But I quite like his character arc
Yeah.
because he is probably. When it's all said and done, he's probably the protagonist in this film.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
because I'm picturing kind of as that. Like, you can make an argument that who's the Jewish guy whose diamond it is in Snatch?
Avi.
Avi.
Yeah.
You can make an argument that
Yeah.
he's the main character in that movie.
Yeah.
The storyline is dictated by his movements.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was picturing Hugh Grant as that.
Well, Hugh Grant.
That style of character, not an imposing figure, but a person who's dictating the narrative.
I don't want to indulge too much, but
True,
Hugh Grant does he does dictate the narrative throughout. Colin Farrell's performance is really good. Bugsy Malone is in it as well.
Bugsy
he?
Malone.
Yeah,
Who's
Bugsy Malone.
Okay,
He's a
hip-hop
grime
artist,
artist from
grime
Manchester.
artist,
Oh, really?
Yeah, and
Not
Colin-
Bugsy Malone from the old, like...
Tallulah.
Yeah, Tallulah.
Yeah, no. So you want to be a boxer? Yeah, but funny enough, Colin Farrell plays a boxing coach. And Bugsy Malone's one of his students.
Right, okay.
It's good. It's good.
I am intrigued by it. I do definitely want to go
I
watch
would
it.
definitely put it on the same par as Rock and Roller.
Yeah.
It's probably better than Rock and Roller.
Yeah.
It's not as good as Lock, Stock.
Yeah, but I'll take that. That's what I expected.
That's a high bar to clear, though.
It wouldn't be.
very
You
hard.
can't. I don't think you can.
And
now.
he's moved on as a director.
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
I mean, you
To a
can't.
more
You can't make a
boring
film like
mainstream
that, so
version.
you can't compare it. So you could never. You
Yeah.
just. You can't.
He dated Madonna. He lost his edge.
I mean, what the fuck?
You
now
know
he's
what?
old. Maybe he's gonna get it back.
You know what? It was fun. It was fun.
And that's what I want from it.
You
bro.
had a good time.
I had a good time, and
There
it
you
was.
go.
And you know what? I preferred spending money on that than I did Star Wars.
All right, I
Good review, good
like a
review.
podcast that does a movie review system where it's a yes or no, and they do best movie ever, worst movie ever. But I've got an idea for our podcast,
on.
which is: did you have a good time or not?
Exactly.
So you can like a bad movie and
Like-
you can dislike a good
like The
movie.
Warriors.
Did you have a good time?
Like The Warriors, was it a good film? Probably not, but it gave fun.
Yeah.
Yes.
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 So
Yes.
you had a good time.
Yes.
Bang. There we go.
Yeah.
Fair one.
Yeah,
I've heard
yeah.
that. I've heard a few snowflakes kicking off about it.
I looked, so there was a face you made there where you like said snowflakes and kind of looked away from yourself in disgust.
Mate, I just...
It was
looked
great.
at you.
not towards me. Not
You're
towards
not, I
me.
don't think you're a
I
snowflake.
think
at
I'm
all.
too loud
But,
and
like,
volatile to be a
do you know what
snowflake.
I mean? I feel like I've been... they offend me so much now. You know what I mean? I try and keep quiet about them because they are snowflakes. They'll melt. So I just try...
And you are a melting pot of ideas.
Yeah, exactly. Melting pot of ideas, and it just shrivels
And
them
it
up.
shrivels them. Oh, melts them down.
So, but you know, there's a few Asian slurs in there apparently.
Oh yeah, yeah. Because
This is
they've
it.
got
I
a gang
mean,
war.
we're accustomed to a few Asian slurs.
Yeah,
aren't
they've
we?
got a gang war against the Chinese. And
Right,
this.
that's it.
Yeah,
So then people were kicking off, and
Lord,
apparently,
Lord George. That's his
speaking
name.
of this bullshit, you heard the
Yeah.
guy that's been kicked off from playing a poo.
Oh yeah, fucking Hank something.
Yeah,
Hank
yeah,
Azario.
Hank
That's
Azario.
right,
Because,
right,
like,
right.
170
No,
million.
I know all about this.
Go on,
I'm a bit of a Simpsons aficionado.
Yes, I know.
Yeah,
No, that's how I think of it.
Aficionado.
That's-
No, the
Aficionado.
first pronunciation was my
Aficionado.
favourite.
Thank you. Hank Azario has
Wait,
come
we'll
out
put
this
that
week.
in. We'll edit out the game.
Hank Azario has decided he's not going to voice a poo anymore.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because
Pressure.
Of,
I
because
think
of the
he's been
racial
cancelled.
stereotype. And you know what? I think Apu's a
In
good...
that threat every couple of
I thought The
years.
Simpsons just said that they're
Oh,
not going to release any more series.
they're on like the 30th season.
They said that on the 20th season, bro.
They're owned by Disney now, bro. They're not going to stop making
Yeah,
films.
have you heard what the Disney are going to rebrand Fox, 20th Century Fox Entertainment?
Go on.
20th Century Entertainment.
Oh.
And they're just going to have the
It's gonna
same
get rid of
logo,
Fox.
but without the Fox.
Really?
Yeah.
That's saving money.
Dun,
Tell me more about this. You know
dun,
more.
What about Hank?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know, he's been pressured to step down as the voice of a really I think he's a good stereotype really, Asian stereotype.
Yeah.
He owns his own business, Apu.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's always been a diplomatic guy,
Yes,
and he's
yes.
very religious too. You
Yeah.
know, he's into his Hinduism.
Does good slushes.
He does do good slushies. Yeah,
If
he
you
does.
if you want a barometer of where Apu was in terms of offensiveness within widestream American culture,
But isn't The
look at
Simpsons-
Seinfeld at the same time.
Yeah.
They had the character Abu, and I think the thing that they do in what is famed as one of the most popular American adult times, way more racist than anything they do with
Isn't-
Apu.
isn't The
It
Simpsons-
was like really offensive, like live action as well. It's not cartoon,
Yeah.
really offensive, like
When was it?
accents and same time,
In the
early
90s.
90s.
Thing is,
Culturally sensitive.
When you agree with The
difference-
Simpsons.
the difference is,
Sorry,
Simpsons are built off like casting every single character.
That's a
It's-
stereotype. That's what I was going to say. That's it.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, Willie, you know,
Exactly.
comic book guy.
Carl is not voiced by a black guy.
I don't think there's
No,
any
it's not.
black
No,
people
that-
in
no,
this.
and to
Simpsons.
begin
They're all
with,
just
And
Jewish.
to begin with,
Exactly,
fucking
yeah.
Smithers used to be black in the first two seasons.
Oh, I'm not happy about that. That is some
Yeah,
fucking bull.
yeah.
That's a
It-
white man.
It
I'm
freaks me
pissed.
out. It freaks me out.
That is-
Is it Smithers and Skinner?
Robert-
No. Carl and Lenny were swapped over.
Robert
Oh,
Downey
really?
Jr.
Yeah,
Robert
they
Downey
were.
Jr. when he's doing
Different
blackface in
reality.
Tropic Thunder's been coming up with him recently.
But you know what? I think.
What do you mean, you people? What do you mean, you people?
I'm the dude playing the dude disguised as another dude. One blackface. I can
It's-
allow
it's
for
like
your
Justin
life,
Trudeau.
yeah. 9 times or something this guy did it. You've obviously got a problem, bro. What's wrong with you?
It's clearly a fetish. At this point, it's a fetish.
What was the Laurence Olivier film that he did in blackface as well?
Was it Lawrence of Arabia?
No, it was
Lawrence Fishburne.
No, it was
He's
Lawrence,
black.
No, Lawrence Olivier.
Lawrence
He-
Olivier.
Yeah, he did a film all in blackface. It's quite famous.
Do you ever
Is
see
it-
that
is
film?
it-
Do you see that film Iron Sky or whatever it's called, where they turn
Oh,
that
I've seen that.
Oh,
The moon,
that's
Where
great.
they go to
Yeah.
the moon
I
and
love
find
it.
Nazis.
And he's
The Nazis on the moon.
Is he a black guy and they turn him white? Or
They
is he
turn a black
Yeah,
guy white.
that's it, yeah,
And he
yeah.
becomes a member of the Third Reich.
That's it. Yeah. I've heard.
I've
that.
got Iron Sky up there.
Great film.
I think we should rewatch it and review it for the podcast.
Yeah, it was in Othello.
Come here.
It was in Othello.
He played Othello!
Yes.
Amazing!
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
Othello, mate. Yeah.
I've seen that with Lawrence Fishburne, which
Here
is
he
what,
is.
no, is it? Yeah, Lawrence Fishburne.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Seen that?
That's insanity,
Oh, wow.
man. What year is that?
1965.
Fucking hell.
Oh, I know.
Mate, that's
When
like...
was the Jazz Singer? Can you just quickly check the year of the Jazz Singer? Because
Okay.
that's another blackface, like, was highly regarded at the time.
Yeah.
That was... 81.
81.
Wow.
That's, who is that?
It was directed by Richard
But
Fleischer.
the black guy is Neil Diamond.
Neil Diamond did blackface. Fuck. Are you sure it wasn't Laurence Olivier? He was in it. It's like, I'll be in it. I'll be in it, but only if I can wear blackface.
Fucking hell.
It's a one requirement. I should just double check if this is true because that cracked me up.
Oh, fucking hell. I bet it was Laurence Olivier.
Jazz.
He's got a fucking track record.
Yeah.
He's
Fucking hell.
got a track record.
In it.
Oh, racist cunt. Oh, whilst on the air, actually, we thought we'd give a
Al
shout out.
Jolson. Al Jolson is the person I'm thinking of. 1927.
Sorry, who was it?
Al Jolson.
1927.
1927.
Oh, still. But it's quite funny that Laurence Olivier starred, was in a film that was famous for blackface in 1927. This was made in 1927. Laurence Olivier must have watched this and gone, oh, that had blackface in it. I'm going to be in that film. And when they made it in 1980, they were like, yeah, we'll put Laurence Olivier in this. Sad.
That is it. Looks like fucking Richard Glover.
Lethal Weapon 6.
Richard's dead, but don't matter.
There we go. This
Lethal Weapon 6.
this is the this is the Jazz Singer.
Jesus Christ, that's bad, isn't it?
It's an insulting interpretation of the way black people look, even if it's insulting on its base level. Because when you look at the 1927 version, it's more akin to what was the old like mascot for like Marmalade? I think it was. It's like a toy with a horrifically racist.
Is it a gollywog thing?
Yeah, a gollywog.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what it is. It's more like that, which is cartoonish.
Yeah.
And like they're not really people, and it's old school racism, which is like
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, and what have you been watching?
What have I been watching?
Would you like me to go?
Yeah, you go. I don't even know what I've been watching.
I'm gonna keep that in. You don't have to ask me. Okay.
What's
I
the
watched-
McGregor fight, didn't you? Sorry.
Yeah, watch that.
Yeah,
I watched the
well,
McGregor fight.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
see.
So yeah, I watched the McGregor fight.
Have you seen anything of this McGregor fight?
I didn't even watch the McGregor fight.
No, the McGregor fight finished in 40 seconds, so it's been everywhere.
Yeah, I've seen the clip. Tomo showed me.
Yeah, he fucking shoulder barged this guy. About
He
3
looked good
times.
as well. He looked like a fighter rather than like a preppy wrestler,
It's because he's blown
which
up
he
to
did during the Mayweather fight.
because he's blown up to about 175 pounds.
Do you reckon
He was
he'll
gonna
go?
lose and he already
Do you
got
reckon he'll
paid.
go WWE? Do you reckon he'll go?
Eventually, yeah,
McGregor.
100%.
Yeah.
He'll get
Yeah.
a whole load
Yes.
of money to
Yes.
do nothing.
He's
That's
got
his
he's
whole
got the
shtick.
personality to do
He
it. hasn't he?
can't take too
Mate.
much more punishment.
I'd like him to
He
come out
doesn't
number 30 in the Royal Rumble.
He'd
and just
do-
fucking smash it.
He'd do it now if there wasn't still money to be made in UFC.
Yeah.
Oh,
So-
me and you are going to go see the Royal Rumble the weekend.
Yeah,
aren't
talk
we?
about
Yes.
that guy.
Who's your bets on?
For the Royal alright.
I might stick a $5 on Samoa Joe just for a
They
laugh.
always stick,
I'll
they always stick
admit
thingy, don't they, bro?
that
They always stick randomers in there, don't they? That you don't know.
I-
Like Shawn Michaels might come back number 28 or something crazy.
The Royal Rumble it's kind of the reason it's fun and the reason the wrestling fans love it every year is because during like the summer to the Royal Rumble period of WWE, it's very well known that Vince McMahon stops paying attention, but basically makes a rule that no one can really do anything, and we're gonna hit reset at the Royal Rumble, and we're gonna push whoever the fuck we want, no matter whether they've lost every match during that period. So you don't really know,
Okay.
and I haven't watched the last 2 weeks, so I'll catch up on it now. But my gut instinct is they're gonna push Becky Lynch. They're gonna push Kairi Sane, Japanese female wrestler. They're gonna push Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins. 2 women, 2 men.
There's people that can compete, they come
They're
back in the
pushing
Rumble.
Kevin Owens. They're pushing Kevin Owens. Samoa Joe came back from injury recently, and I think they should push him. But every time I think they should push him, they just make him seem like a badass,
Yeah.
and then he loses the big fight.
Yeah.
I think he's one of the best. He's the 3rd best wrestler / talker they have. Top 3 being in the WWE. AJ Styles is the best in the world at both.
Yeah.
Kevin Owens, amazing talker. Pretty good wrestler, terrible shape.
Yeah.
Samoa Joe, and then slightly below that Seth Rollins. I do like Seth Rollins, but he's not on
Seth
that
Rollins
level.
reminds me a bit of a Edge. Kind of.
Yeah, see that. Shawn Michaels as well.
I think
And
like
the
his best
fans
play, like,
prefer him as a bad guy.
he is better as a bad guy
'Cause he is
he is a
dick,
stick anyway,
and
yeah.
everyone
He might as well
knows it.
play. Like that's why Billy Bob Thornton's so good at playing a pisshead.
Yes,
because
he
he's a
is a
pisshead.
pisshead.
In the same way that Ben Stiller is always better as a bad guy.
Because he's a bad guy.
Or a very, or a very flawed main character. My favourite Ben Stiller performance, the only one I like, is Dodgeball.
Oh, Happy Gilmore for me as well.
Happy Gilmore's.
Oh yeah, he's also an asshole in that as well.
Yeah, that's so true.
He
Yeah,
just pulled landscape.
yeah. You.
Oh, your fingers hurt.
Can I trouble you for a warm glass of milk? I'll trouble you with your warm glass of shut the hell up. You will go to sleep. Oh, I'll put you to sleep.
I tell you what's a good performance of Ben Stiller as well. In The Cable Guy, he plays the murderer in the murder trial going in the background as well. On the TV.
Yeah.
does.
Also, another asshole Ben Stiller performance, Royal Tenenbaums. He's like the really annoying.
I've never seen it.
Never seen
over. Oh man, watch that movie.
Okay.
Amazing soundtrack. It's my favorite Wes Anderson film. You got
Oh, is it When Answer? Yeah, I'll watch it.
Ben Stiller,
Yeah.
Owen Wilson. Owen Wilson plays like a spaced out drug addict who's obsessed with American war general. This is like the performance that started the WoW thing.
Was it?
He's like on ketamine the whole film. He's just like, sorry, just spaced out for all of what you were just saying.
You know
Did
what
we
he used to
talk about
say?
my book recently? You've got the old Lex Luthor from the old Superman movies. What's his name?
Kevin
Gene
Spacey.
Hackman?
Gene Hackman.
Gene
Gene
Hackman.
Hackman plays like a scammer. The scammer father who's like pretending to have cancer but doesn't really.
Oh
It's
yeah.
epic. Go out and watch the Royal Tenenbaums if you've not already watched. It's my favourite Wes Anderson movie.
Yeah.
That's not my what have I been watching though.
What have you been watching, Jacob?
Oh, well, thank you for asking, Owen.
Oh God, we get into this.
Right, no, do it, mate. Should we go?
Shout out to Jazz.
I watched a couple of movies, but I don't want to spoil either of them for you.
Go on.
They're both fairly recent films. I watched Knives Out.
Oh yeah, that's in cinema at the minute. Have you watched 1917 yet?
I haven't, no.
Oh, I really want to go see that. Apparently, it's all shot in one shot, a bit like Birdman.
It's
What's
Wes
this?
Mendes as well. I really like him as a
91?
director. 1917,
Mendes,
it's a
yeah,
World
I
War
like
One
Mendes.
movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's by the guy who made Skyfall and American Beauty and a couple of other good movies.
You know how Birdman was shot and it was all in one shot? kind
Yeah,
of thing?
yeah, yeah.
That's
it-
not
apparently
him,
similar
but
to-
it's
similar to that.
Knives Out and Zombieland 2. They're both recently released.
Oh, what's Zombieland 2 though?
Zombieland 2, honestly,
Yeah.
the reason I like the first one because it was a fun little concept
Yeah.
and it had Woody Harrelson. in it.
Yeah.
Is Woody Harrelson the second one?
Yeah, they're
excellent.
the same cast return.
But
But
more in this one too.
no, but they reference him a lot.
Okay.
But there's one character who's like not in the first movie at all. And honestly, as much as she's a ridiculous character, she is the best part of the second movie. Okay. I'm just researching the actress's name now, but basically the character is like this stereotypical, like, oh my god, like, I'm wearing an all pink tracksuit. Everything you said is totally amazing. That character, right?
you're
But she's
rolling
amazing, and she cracks me up the whole movie. And the whole time I was thinking, this is the only reason I'm still watching this movie because she kept making me laugh. And they put her in like because it's a zombie apocalypse. The situation
What is it?
you
Does it
put her
kind of
in.
carry on from the other one, from where? It's
Yeah, it
okay.
it starts. I think like maybe
Is
a
Woody
year
Harrelson still
afterwards,
after Twinkies?
and she fucking steals the movie.
Oh really?
She's honestly hilarious throughout it. Like she's like completely stupid.
So he did.
Yeah, she nails this movie. Zoe Deutsch, shout like honestly, mate, it's basically laughing at Woody Harrelson and how amazing he is, and laughing at Zoe Deutsch and trying to ignore the rest of the movie.
What did you watch it on?
On a perfectly legit. I went to the cinema.
Oh, okay, fine.
Yeah, you know what else I went to the cinema for?
Star Wars.
Knives Out,
Oh, did you?
which is fucking sick as well. It's like dichotomy.
Have you seen the Star Wars yet?
No, it was shit.
Well, carry on about Knives Out. It's
So,
shocking.
Knives Out is the guy from Zod from Superman. The guy who's a really crazy looking dude, like sounds really serious about everything.
Yes.
Captain America.
Is it Chris Evans?
Chris Evans. I like Chris
I
Evans.
don't like English Chris Evans either.
I agree with both your statements.
Fair. James Bond, Daniel Craig.
Oh God.
I like Daniel Craig. I think he's good.
I quite like Daniel Craig.
And the
Not
guy
so
from sorry to bother
Sorry
you.
to bother you.
The main guy from that.
Oh, the guy who played Darius in Atlanta.
A super hot Latina. Amazing script. It's like a murder mystery, and the point of a murder mystery is to give you all the answers, but they don't tell you who did it to the very end. They tell you he did it really early on, and you're like, honestly, because I love murder mysteries. Like I like
Clue.
Clue. That's the pastiche ship that. But Gosford Park is the famous one that got nominated for lots of Oscars, and any Poirot novel. There's a recent modernisation, Murder on the Orient Express with Kenneth Branagh.
Yeah.
It's good.
A lot of those people either like or dislike them. I love them, but this is like one of those. And honestly, when they revealed the murderer like 20 minutes in, I was like, the fuck this! I'm gonna turn this off. And I got so close to turning it off, and I was like, quite like the cast. Yeah. I'll see where it goes. And
Good.
I kept watching, and then it basically just turned the entire genre on its head. Keeps you guessing to the very end. Great cast, funny, different. Highly recommend. They're both still out at the cinema, and I went to see both of them at the cinema.
Oh, I've got you, yeah.
Knives Out and Zombieland 2, recommend them both, especially Knives Out. Anything you want to plug? Where can people find us? Where can we find ourselves?
We can find ourselves on Spotify, Instagram, Breaker.
Who was that guy who was bigging me up? I need to plug him.
Jazz.
Jazzy Jazz.
But I always shout out Jazz.
Said I was sick. Well, I might not use that. I might use this
No,
instead.
he didn't say you're sick. He said you're a beast, innit?
Well, I'm a beast.
Alright, tell the host he's a beast.
We should shout out to our Australian listener.
Yes.
Listeners.
I hear you're now getting floods, depending on whether or not you're in
Apparently
South Wales
she's
or not.
got South Wales.
No, I refuse to call it New South Wales, because South Wales is so irrelevant.
That's right, you're listening.
So you're
Australians.
South Wales, Australia. You're the only South Wales that's relevant.
I think Ashley is in Adelaide. It's like the most boring place in Australia, isn't it? Like nothing happens.
Lot of meth
Yeah,
going
that's
on.
true.
Lot of
Yeah.
meth.
Yeah.
It
Lot of
sounds
meth.
great.
Well, that's
It's
why you
alright.
need. What happens? What's the most boring place in America? Montana. What happens there?
No,
Most people do
the
meth.
most boring place in Australia
It's simple mathematics.
Yeah, but they have petrol cans that you hang around your neck and sniff them. That's a good time.
It's a good time. And
And
then is that.
Check this. You don't have to wear shoes. You don't have to.
They wear thongs, mate.
No, just don't.
No, nothing at all. No thongs.
Just no shoes.
Straight.
No shoes, petrol.
Straight.
What can I say, lads? I'm sold.
Yeah, mate.
We're moving to Alice Springs next year. They haven't got any trees out there to burn anyway. It's all desert, so they're fine.
Yeah, good.
On that note.
See you next week, everybody.
No, I've never smoked